And if you are white, he is your father. Not only that, you're also Greek, but we'll get to that. Yaqub as we know him first appeared in the writings of Wallace Fard Muhammad, the founder of the Nation of Islam, simplified as the NOI, or NOI, which is an offshoot of mainstream Islam with a focus on black nationalism, and was expanded upon by his successor Elijah Muhammad, most specifically in his chapter Making of Devil in his 1965 book Message to the Black Man in America, which outlines the role of Yaqub in making the white devil race. To get the full picture of Yaqub, I would like to share his life story with you. Although the following story is not the same as the original story outlined by the Noi, as it expands upon a few extra plot elements such as the nature of Yaqub's origin. This is the most complete story of Yaqub I can find, and it is my personal favorite iteration. The story of Yaqub begins with aliens and the Hollow Earth. Thousands of years ago, many alien groups came to Earth after leaving their planet. Not much is known about their original planet. We only know that it was destroyed by evil, forcing the aliens to flee. These aliens took up residency within the Hollow Earth, also known as Agartha, as humans were already living on the surface at this time. These surface humans all belonged to the Ebenoid tribe, and white people did not exist. This was around or before 4600 BC. The alien visitors were able to live in the center of the Earth because there is an inner sun, and from this Hollow Earth they were able to establish great civilizations. The most prominent alien group living within the Hollow Earth were known as the Shi'uk. The Shi'uk are dark-skinned, large-headed humanoids. Inside these large heads, the Shi'uk have oversized and extremely dense brains, making them far more intelligent than your average human. The Shi'uk did occasionally interact with the surface humans, and were seen by humans as mystics, prophets, and sages due to their immense knowledge and odd appearance. The Shi'uk had a leader named King Fucor, he also had two brothers, Amo and Yushak. Yushak had a bitter jealousy of his brother King Fucor. His other brother Amo loved and married a woman from the surface, and due to this was exiled to the surface, which is a serious punishment, as remaining in the Hollow Earth allows the Shi'uk to remain practically immortal, whereas banishment to the surface will result in an eventual death from aging as all humans eventually face. The Shi'uk are not the only alien race in the Hollow Earth, however, as there is another alien people within the Hollow Earth known as the Sinine. The Sinine, like the Shi'uk, are humanoids with large heads. However, their heads are coned. The Sinine are led by one king Lamsa, who has a daughter named Princess Lucina. He also has a son named Prince Atif. There is also a third race living within the Hollow Earth known as the Samin, who are grotesquely fat, human-elephant hybrid creatures that are created from grafting the evil from the Sinine, and due to this relationship, the Sinine people are responsible for quelling and policing the Samin, as they are a very violent species. One day, the Samin attacked and raided Shi'uk villages, stealing resources and food. Upon hearing this, King Fucor sent a telepathic message to King Lamsa, telling him that the Sinine were lacking on their Samin wrangling duties and must drive them away from Shi'uk lands. King Lamsa mobilized quickly and was able to drive out the Samin at Fucor's behest, although tensions between the tribes remained. In order to make peace, Lamsa and Fucor decided to create a marriage pact, marrying Sinine Princess Lucina to King Fucor, and Shi'uk Princess Rehia to Lamsa's son Prince Atif, which succeeded in creating a temporary peace. However, all was not well in the Agarthan Hollow Earth, as Lucina was deeply unhappy with this marriage arrangement. She felt like an outcast among the Shi'uk, and hated their laws and people, and had a hatred for King Fucor. You know who else has a hatred for Fucor? That's right, his brother Yushak. For some reason, Fucor seems widely hated. Lucina and Yushak met, and through their shared hatred of Fucor began an affair behind his back. They would meet at Amo's house on the surface to carry out this affair, with Amo seemingly cool with his brother using his house as a sex hotel. And it is at this house where he was born. The man, the scientist, the demon, the demiurge, the father of all albinoids, Yaqub. Yaqub was no ordinary child, even for a Shi'uk or a Sinine, as his head was twice the size of a human's head. Yaqub also had two brains, doubling his already massive Shi'uk brain capacity. Yaqub himself would not live within the Hollow Earth, as his parents' affair was a great violation of Shi'uk and Sinine laws and customs, forcing the new family to remain on the surface. So Yaqub spent his early years living in his uncle Amo's house near modern-day Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Fucor, however, soon found out about this affair, and sent his troops to the surface to find the family, and had Yushak arrested and put to death for his actions. Lucina was allowed to live due to her now having a child to care for, but was barred from ever returning to the Hollow Earth. Overwhelmed by these punishments, her new child, and the death of her lover, Lucina committed suicide, leaving Yaqub as an orphan in the care of his uncle Amo. Yaqub's life is already horrifically tragic. witnessing death and sorrow over things he has no control over, abandoned by his people and scorned by those on the surface. This is where the seeds of crackerdom are first sown. Yaqub, traumatized by the death of his parents, develops a deep resentment of the Shi'uk people, and eventually begins to hate all peoples with dark complexions like the Shi'uk, seeing them all as responsible for his parents' deaths. Yaqub begins school at the age of 4, and at school Yaqub starts getting bullied for the immense size of his head and his huge ego, hurting his self-esteem and making him hate the Ebenoid peoples even more, and deepening his desire for revenge. At age 6, Yaqub, while playing with magnets and observing the laws of attraction and repulsion, gets the idea to create a tribe of people that would exist as the antithesis to the Ebenoid surface humans. A tribe who would be cruel, deceptive, remorseless, and be lacking divinity, being a magnetic opposite of the Ebenoid peoples who are divine, kind, and empathetic. Yaqub, floored by this idea, told his uncle, "Uncle, when I get to be an old man, I am going to make a people who shall rule you." Yaqub in this moment understood his life's terrible purpose, to make trouble, spread death and destruction, and be the enemy of all Ebenoid people, a vile demiurge to all those who walk the earth, with an army of demons at his back. In order to accomplish this, Yaqub understood that he must become a master of genetics, biology, and science. Fortunately for Yaqub, his double brains made him a child prodigy, and he was outperforming all the surface humans in school. By age 18, Yaqub had completed all colleges and universities of his nation. While at these colleges, Yaqub was mockingly referred to as the big-headed scientist. You can probably figure out why. While in college, Yaqub developed and began preaching a new religion he created, simply known as tricknology. He also wrote a holy book of tricknology, called Tricknology 120 Degrees. Yaqub promised all those who followed tricknology would eventually come to rule the earth for 6,000 years, and have complete dominion over the peoples of earth. While he was ultimately correct in this prophecy, those who followed Yaqub at the time were oblivious to the dark truth of the prophecy, and Yaqub's real plans for them. Tricknology became quite popular as time went by, with many people starting to follow Yaqub, as they were deeply impressed with his teachings and immense knowledge. The boys who once bullied and looked down on him now wanted to follow him, and the women who once scorned and mocked Yaqub now wanted that Kub hammer. Tricknology became such a powerful movement amongst the surface humans, even the king of the surface humans became intimidated by the threat it posed, and began to persecute the followers of tricknology, throwing all followers of tricknology into prison along with Yaqub himself. However, tricknologist numbers had grown too large, and there weren't enough prisons to hold them all. Realizing that he was out of options, the king went to Yaqub's cell to offer him a deal. "So you are Mr. Yaqub?" "Yes, I am." The king then asked Yaqub what he would accept in exchange for ending the continued spread of tricknology. Yaqub told him that if he provided enough food, materials, and other necessities to build a civilization for 20 years, Yaqub would spend that time building up a self-sufficient tricknologist civilization, and after the 20 years, would leave with his followers to distant lands.